Congrats, guys, on this amazing, powerful series. It's so incredible. Talk to me about how this is kind of based on an inspiring true story.
Well, I mean, our show is based on a true story and was written based on the novel by Georgia Hunter, We Were the Lucky Ones. And it just it feels, I mean, this story is just so heart-wrenching and hopeful and beautiful. And just knowing that it is a true story as well, it's just an extra layer of just emotion when making something like this.
And sort of responsibility, feel like.
Yeah.
I want to do justice to these people because they lived and they had this experience. When I found out I got the job, I found out that my whole family came from a town like an hour's drive from Radom, where George's family came from. So it all felt very close. Mm-hmm. And then shooting in Bucharest was where my grandfather was hiding through the war. So it's like, it wasn't my story, but it was really connected.
Yeah. I think that for me, without those incredibly close ties to the locations, I do think, though, it's true that we are fortunate enough to be Jewish people playing Jewish people, and there's always something very deep within you, I feel, when you're a Jewish person portraying a story from the Holocaust, especially if it's true. You're so connected to it, even if you're not exactly sure how. And that feeling really carried me through the show, and I think carried a lot of us through the show. And just, like you said, though, just wanting to do justice to this wonderful family. And also, like, Helena and Adam, their story is so beautiful and so sweet and so complex. And they're both very different people, and Helena's personality is so unique and so special, and so just kind of diving into those dynamics and who they are as people was really something else, honestly.
You sort of fell in love with them.
Yeah.
It was impossible not to fall in love with
Completely.
them as a couple.
Completely. Highlight of working together. I know you said this is your first interview. Oh my
This is
God.
my first ever interview, yeah. Highlight, exactly this moment right now.
Working together was terrible.
I mean, from the off, it was pretty easy.
Yeah.
I felt it was pretty easy.
I think it was pretty great. We got along wonderfully. Also, we had so much time to spend together, so it was really wonderful. We got to know each other so well, and we all kind of became a really loving family, and we became a true family. I think a lot of us would get on each other's nerves and stuff, and we would bicker occasionally, which was honestly adding to all of the real familial feelings that we had. But highlight of working together, I don't know, I think you're just a fabulous scene partner, and you're so great to hang out with. So
Feelings very mutual.
Oh,
come on.
You guys, I'm blushing. Talk about the research you did. I know this is such a heavy material. Talk about that research you did to lead up to this role. And then also your transformation. You took it back to the 1940s. I want to know all about that.
I read a lot of books, and also there was a huge amount of research obviously that Georgia had done when she was researching her whole family. So we had access to this wealth of information. So it was just kind of immersing in that knowledge and in that time. And also, talking to Georgia, there was no better and no closer connection.
Yeah.
What was this like for you, talking to your grandfather?
Yeah. I think that the book was such an amazing, like you said, well of knowledge, where it was we could keep referencing it. But something that is so true for me is I think a lot of people, when you grow up in a Jewish family, the Holocaust is not something that you necessarily have a moment where you learn about it. It's just something that's really talked about from the time you're young. So the research for something like this, yes, it was new, but also there's a sense of familiarness with it, because it's not attacking a foreign concept, in terms of just starting from the ground up and research, and you have no idea what you're going into. Growing up in my family, it was something that was just always talked about, the war and the Holocaust, and was something that I knew about, and I knew the horrors, and also some of the more uplifting stories that are true stories from it, just from the time I was so young. And so I think the research for me was more about this family, and also about the specificities of the land that we were shooting on, Rodom, Poland, stuff like that, because the overwhelming grief of the Holocaust was something that I feel was kind of just with me from when I was a young girl.
Yeah, it's sort of sort of in your DNA.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree that it's this family's very specific story.
Yeah.
So a lot of the research is about like.
What was kind of the most challenging aspect of shooting?
Both of us just took a huge both of us like, well, I think the most challenging aspect, it kind of, there's like a lot of different answers for this, but I think that one of the main ones was like the challenge of the pressure of like feeling like you want to do this family justice, but also like some of the scenes, like we would keep it pretty light on set because, you know, it's really heavy material and we needed to at times to just, you know, protect ourselves. But sometimes we would all just be kind of hit at random moments with like overwhelming emotion, and it was usually just depending on what scene we were shooting. And that was, you know, a lot of unexpected like rushes of emotion and tears and feelings of grief that came with that. But I really feel like we were all so there for each other, like no judgments, absolutely, like, because everyone would kind of experience that at different times, like you know, no one was like, it was not all happening at the same time or this exact scene, like, and I think we all were good about really holding space for each other.
Yeah, sometimes you do it and it's too much. You need to have a hug and have a cry and then be like, we've all got each other.
Yeah, it's like, you
and
know,
let's
that
go again sometimes.
Exactly.
Like,
you know, the like post-cry embarrassment that you, like, even when you're crying if you're having a breakdown in your bedroom and like you're done,
Every
you're
day.
like, that was so embarrassing. But like for some reason we didn't like experience that on set because we were all so like, we get it, I get it. So like if anyone had a big cry or a big moment, we would all just be like there's no need for that post-cry embarrassment. We all get it.